Welcome to the 22nd episode of the HiFi Five. This is a special edition to respond to Robert Harley's editorial, quote, magazine ethics, unquote, in the April 2026 issue of The Absolute Sound. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Our regulars are Jay Caceres of Jay's Audio Lab, Elliot Goldman of Bending Wave USA, and Danny Kaey of EMMLabs and Sonic Flare. Danny could not join us tonight. He's on a secret espionage mission behind the Iron Curtain, I think Uzbekistan. We wanted Robert Harley to join us tonight to discuss his editorial. On March 2nd, this past March, I called Robert and left him a voicemail, and I sent him an email inviting him on the show at his convenience to discuss his editorial with us, but he did not respond at all. In Robert's absence, one of my roles tonight is to try to do a credible job of representing Robert's views. Good evening, Jay and Elliot.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Viewers, I am now going to post the Robert article on a screen share, and hopefully you'll be able to see that because I want to try to do this in a fairly coherent, linear way. I want you to see Robert's actual article as we go through his excerpts piece by piece. Okay, starting with question 1. Robert begins the editorial. Every few years, someone appears on the internet claiming that the high-end magazines are fundamentally corrupt. One motivation is to discredit the established print media is by manufacturing a controversy that drives traffic to the accuser's YouTube channel. Another is a jealous manufacturer trying to cast doubt on the integrity of the review process when a product that directly competes with his product has been praised in the magazine. Jay, please explain clearly and in chronological order, what is the origin of what Robert's talking about you and a manufacturer?
Well, I guess Robert, if I look at this, he is calling me, he's calling my channel a little guy, I guess, little person online. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to show the audience. Okay, I need to show the audience something. Give me 2 seconds, okay? Okay, if you can let me share the screen, I would definitely love to show the audience something so that they have an understanding of my statistics.
I totally don't know how to share the screen since I'm already
I'm going to ask for that. So I am going to share screen, and then I'm going to choose.
Well, do you have to, do you want me to delete this thing from the screen?
No, just stay there. Don't do anything right now. So here's what we're going to do. All right, let me know if you guys can see. All right, can you see my screen?
To see you.
You guys don't see my screen?
No.
Okay, wait, I can add it to the stage.
Yes, add it to the stage.
There we go. Okay.
All right, so you are looking right now, for everyone watching, the Absolute Sounds stats. Okay, these are real stats. I don't make them up. You're having a look at the channel that they built, I don't know how many years ago by now, but if you look at the totality of the views they've had, okay, this is a channel with 80,000 subscribers at the moment, more than twice of what I currently have, right? 9.5 million views. Do you see that? 9,531,697 views. You guys see that, right? That's the Absolute Sounds YouTube channel. I'm not making this up. You're watching it with your own eyes. I'm going to show you Jay's little smallish channel that doesn't mean shit. So you have an understanding that subscribers don't mean dick. It's the engagement factor. It's actually having someone with a personality on the other end of the screen that engages with the audience. That's what matters the most on YouTube. Of course, the Absolute Sound wouldn't know any better because they started only a few days ago. Okay, so they don't know that. And unfortunately, the personalities on their YouTube channel, well, we have already stated what the audience feels and how we feel about their personalities. So now I'm going to show you, okay, let me know if you can see now my stats. Can you see my stats now? Did it switch?
No, we still see the Absolute Sound.
So I'm going to share my stats now, okay? So that way, okay, I'm going to stop screen and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So here we go. We'll do the same thing, Ron.
Okay.
Did it change?
This is.
You should be able to see
Audio Lab. I can see it.
There it is. Do you guys see how many views my channel has in its lifetime? 20,648,000 views. Okay, I'm not making this shit up. I'm not lying. You all want facts? Check me. Check me. Forget about the bullshit subscribers. A lot of people watch me, but they don't subscribe. They're secretly hiding in their toilets or in their bathrooms watching, not letting the whole world know that they watch me. So I'm exposing facts so you understand the traction and the visibility of my channel. I have 38,000 subscribers. The Absolute Sound has 80,000 subscribers. You guys see the total views of my channel. You understand what that means, right? I have far more reach than they do. Fuck subscribers. That doesn't mean shit. It's clicks. You can buy subscribers, number one. If you guys don't understand that, you can buy subscribers on YouTube. You pay like $65 a month, and you can actually get incremental subscribers over like a certain period of time.
Okay, but your implication is that there's no evidence that Absolute Sound is buying subscribers.
What I'm getting at is this: generally, overall, holistically, don't be too focused as an audience on subscribers. That's never an indication that people are watching the channel. You understand me? It's never an indication. It's actually views. You cannot buy views. You cannot buy them. 20 million views and counting. Just remember that going forward now, so you can go and make your little posts on your forums. Okay? That's one.
So, Jay,
So while we're asking our viewers to subscribe so we can get to 1,000, what really matters is that we have, 50,000, 60,000 views, which is far more important. And it's very possible that the people from the Absolute Sound are on the toilet now on YouTube watching us as we speak.
So, Jay, get back to my question. What is the origin of what Robert's talking about in his first paragraph?
So he obviously was not trying to mention my channel, the little channel that has more than twice the views that his channel has. But yeah, so he's referring to a couple of videos that I did in the past with two good friends of mine. Everyone knows who they are. One of them was Florian, okay, who is a manufacturer who happens to, obviously, according to Harley, happens to be jealous because of some comments that he made on one of my previous videos about the industry and some of the reviewers keeping their equipment, the equipment they review forever, and that they end up selling them and making that money. I have no proof of that. I want to say that. I have no proof of any of that. Okay? I can't speak on that, but I don't think Florian is a liar. Okay? So he's referring to Florian and myself. All right? So that's all I got to say about that first part, what he's referring to.
Elliot, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I agree with him. I mean, this is a direct thing to a video that Jay and I and two other people did a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's what he's basically talking about. It's kind of typical to do this, and in my opinion, not want to appear and talk on it. I guess that it's really easy to do what he's doing, which is stay in his house and his shorts and sandals and write stuff rather than come out and confront what other people are actually saying.
Okay, but I invited him as a matter of professional courtesy. I respect his decision not to join us if he doesn't want to. Nothing wrong with that. It's up to him.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay. My answer to the first part of the question is this. Fundamentally corrupt is a gross overstatement of my personal view. I want to take a step back. I love the magazines. I have read the Absolute Sound since the very small format, 25, 30 years ago. I think the reviewers at the Absolute Sound are extremely experienced audiophiles. They are great writers. Some of them are literally professional writers in their careers. I think they write authentic, genuine reviews, and they have great systems, some of the best systems in the world. No question about any of that. I think the reviews are great. And as a result of the long-term loan stuff, which we're going to discuss in greater detail, they truly can, as hobbyists, secure for themselves the best components in the world, whatever they subjectively, personally want for their personal systems. I see nothing fundamentally corrupt anywhere in this picture. And I challenge Sherlock Holmes himself to find anything I ever wrote or said that suggested I personally think anything is fundamentally corrupt. Yes, I've been talking about ethical issues since Robert's March 2023 article in the Absolute Sound entitled Long-Term Loans, a Win-Win for Everybody. That was a precursor to his article last week. I've acknowledged and talked about what I think are some ethical issues in the industry, but that is a narrow critique. Talking about some ethical issues has nothing to do with any suggestion I've ever made about things being fundamentally corrupt. Two things can be true at the same time. The magazines are great, the reviewers are great, the reviews are great, but there's no harm in raising as a kind of debate matter ethical issues that I think are worth talking about. Okay, topic number 2. Robert goes on, quote, let me just bring this up here.
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. A primary line of attack is the fact that many of our reviewers have equipment on long-term loan from manufacturers. The theory is that reviewers provide favorably biased coverage to those manufacturers willing to leave the equipment in the reviewer's home for an extended period in a quid pro quo arrangement. I can see how, at first glance, how this practice might seem suspect, but a more considered and thoughtful analysis suggests that long-term equipment loans are not only essential to delivering accurate reviews, but serve the reader's interests as well. Moreover, a little insight into the reality of the relationship between reviewers, manufacturers, and review samples reveals that no favoritism or bias could possibly exist. Now, give me a moment to explain what I think we're actually talking about here. We are talking about whether or not there is an apparent or actual conflict of interest, a possibility of bias arising from a reviewer having hundreds of thousands of dollars of a manufacturer's equipment on long-term loan in connection with an honest and unbiased future review of that manufacturer's subsequent component. Elliot, what do you think?
Well, I want to say this before I start. I'm really tired of this subject, and I hope that tonight will be the last time. I've written about this, and I've talked about it in detail. And I advise anybody that's paying attention that wants to know, go back and read, for example, an Absolute Sound magazine of 2018 or 19 or 20. Look at the equipment that's on the reviewer's list, and then come to 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And much of it is still there, okay? One reviewer has a basis turntable that was part of his reference system in 2018, was reviewed in 2019. It's now 7 years later. It's still there, okay? The electronics in his system he got in 2021. It's 2026. It's still there. The digital system he got in 2021. It's 2026. It's still there. The other reviewer's got a $400,000 or $500,000 speaker that's been there 6 years. I'm sorry, maybe it's me, maybe I'm stupid, but if I put hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment in your house, I believe that I have influence over you, okay? And whether I'm right or wrong, in my opinion, doesn't even matter. The look is really kind of fishy, okay? And exclusionary, and it looks like there's something going on. Personally, as an experienced listener, and many of our watchers are too, I don't need 6 years to decide whether a product is good, okay? In 6 years, as a businessman, if I buy something for my business, I've already depreciated that almost 100%. These people are taking things into their home. They're using them. I don't believe that they need millions of dollars worth of equipment to write reviews. I don't believe that's possible. It's necessary, excuse me. And so therefore, I think that if it looks like fish, swims like fish, smells like fish, it's probably fish.
Jay, what is your view on this excerpt?
I just don't think how that benefits the audience, right? Which is what he's saying, that he doesn't see anything wrong with that relationship between the reviewers and manufacturers. I mean, clearly, when you have something long term, and you're not having to pay for it, you can use it for as long as you want. There's no one pushing you to return it, and deep down that they're going to keep giving you more equipment. Why would you be open about perhaps the fact that maybe you don't like the equipment deep down? But if it's for free, anything sounds good. If food is free, it might taste pretty good too. So my entire thing is, I think the moment you're taking anything like this for free, you have a bias. No matter what he articulates there is a bias involved. And I think also it is unfair for other manufacturers, in my opinion, that are trying to get a fair, honest review, a fair shot at being published on a quote unquote unbiased magazine or publication. But if I am Magico and that reviewer has Wilson Audio and has had Wilson Audio for a long time and only Wilson Audio, I don't know if me being a Magical, the brand Magical, would feel like that reviewer is going to give me a fair review without pissing off.
Why would you even give that Magico speaker to the guy that's had Wilsons in his house for 6 years? You wouldn't. You'd give it to somebody else. That's that's part of what I'm talking about.
Well, wait a minute. Then why would you give that global speaker to him when he had that Wilson there for a long time?
Well, I'm not saying that was the right choice. It was the only choice we had. Okay,
well, that may be the only choice that Magical has to.
Well, I understand that, but one of the things that I learned when I went there, okay, and actually was in his home is. And I can tell the whole story. It's really boring, and whatever it is, okay. I'm not saying we didn't get a fair chance, but we got a really short look at what we could do. When I got there, you want the whole story? I'll tell you the whole story. I mean, we had to ship everything there.
Briefly.
Okay, Oliver and I, and we hired Sterling Trail to come and help us. We got there. The big Wilson speakers were there that had been there since pre-COVID. And the subwoofers and a bunch of other stuff in the room, amplifiers and stuff. We got there. We had to take it all apart. We had to take the spikes off of it. We had to put it on wheels. We had to move it out of the other room. We had to unpack everything. We had to set everything up. Okay, we had to do all of that. And then when it came time that they were getting a review, we had to pay to have somebody pack up the speaker and ship it to Texas to an apartment building so that it could be photographed and then back and stuff like that. Okay. So we had a lousy 2 days or 2.5 days to get all of this done. And I'm not complaining about the review. I'm not complaining about the whole thing, but it's sort of like, this is my stuff. And you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this because I got to do something. Okay. I don't know that we got a fair thing. And to be honest, I had the conversation with my business partner about, what we would do if they actually wanted to keep it, okay? Because the speakers belong to me, and I wasn't about to give somebody a 6-figure present with no return date. And, maybe that's a part of what happened. Maybe it isn't a part of what happened. I mean, we got a decent review. I'm not saying that, but please, anybody answer me why anyone needs to hold on to a component I just told you, his system, basically everything there is at least 4 to 5 years old and been in his house, and some of it more than that. And I say to anybody listening and watching, if I'm going to give you a pair of Gerbil speakers or Riviera amplifiers or whatever it is, and I'm going to put them in your house for 4 years or 5 years, and then I'm not going to ask for them back, I'm pretty sure you're not going to say anything bad about them.
Now, let me just ask you, Elliot, the logistics and inconvenience you had about bringing in your speakers, that wasn't unique to you. That's just Robert's process when somebody brings in speakers, right? You weren't.
I assume so. I don't know.
You're not suggesting you were differentially disadvantaged.
No. I can only describe what I went through. I don't have any idea what else was involved.
Fair enough.
But the Wilson speakers didn't go back. They went into another room in his house.
Okay. My answer to this first excerpt is declaring that no favoritism or bias could possibly exist simply assumes the conclusion. Saying the issue does not exist is not a productive or candid way for us to explore it. I agree with Robert completely. The long-term loan practice benefits readers. It benefits the reviewers. It gives us more valid reviews because you're not cycling through a whole bunch of different components. When the incumbent component under review comes in, you're only changing one thing. You're not mixing up things which dissolves the ability to identify the sonic contribution of that one particular new component. So I agree with Robert's reasons for believing that long-term loans help readers, no question. However, that doesn't answer the actual ethical question. It's like defending insider stock trading because you give the profits to the orphanage. That's great, but the original problem isn't cleansed. They are two separate issues. And I believe there's nothing wrong with raising in a sober way the ethical issue separate and apart from the benefit that long-term loans have for the reviewer, the reviews, the readers, and the industry. There's a very simple psychological thing called reciprocity bias. Reciprocity bias is a tendency to respond favorably to the source of a benefit, tendency to want to return favors. That's human nature.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Next question.
Before you go on, I want to ask you a question. I mean, they talk about reviewers having a reference system, okay? So there are, for argument's sake, 3 or 4 major reviewers at Roberts Magazine, okay? But what is the reference when he has one set of components and Jonathan Vallon has another one and the other reviewers have a different one? How is there any reference? Do they listen to each other's system? Do they compare them? Or is it just everybody has a whole lot of good, expensive shit in their house that they don't pay for? Okay. I mean, the terminology that he's using, what is a reference system? Okay. If you had, in my opinion, if the Absolute Sound has a reference system, there should be one reference. Music is either music or it isn't music. And so if you have 3 or 5 of them, then you don't have any references. It's like if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have any, okay? If you have 3 presidents, you don't have a president. To me, this is a really nice way of saying that, I really like having a lot of expensive shit and it makes sense. And if I keep saying it, people will believe it.
We're going to come to solutions at the end of the show. So please keep in mind what your answer or alternative to the current system would be. So hold that thought. I want to discuss that in the solutions section at the end. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. I want to go back. Item 3. Long-term loans solve a fundamental quandary. Oh, 1 second.
There you go.
Okay. Long-term loans solve a fundamental quandary. Reviewers need reference quality equipment to accurately judge the component under review, reference gear that they couldn't possibly afford to buy. That's kind of what Elliot's talking about. Jay, what's your take on this particular excerpt?
It's a difficult thing to say that. I mean, reviewers then need a stable, well-known system of high quality with the product being evaluated. I mean, this is the problem though. I mean, if you need a high-end system, essentially what he's saying, to review equipment, right? That's what he's saying. Then are you really talking to, for example, let's say he has a speaker that's, I don't know, $500,000 in there. Okay. And then you write up a review where you praise that loudspeaker that you're reviewing, but you're also saying that you're using $1 million worth of electronics. Then maybe your review should have an asterisk or a parenthesis somewhere that says, in order to hear what I'm hearing, you need about $1 million worth of electronics. Else you're never going to be able to hear what I hear. That's never said, right? That's never said. So when you look at their associated components, he's got all kinds of things there. I'm not going to give out names. He's got all these amplifiers, all these preamplifiers, grounding devices, everything you can imagine, right? And so people read at face value the review of that speaker, but they oftentimes miss the associated equipment. And sometimes that is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's never disclosed. That's never, I don't know, it's somewhere that needs to be said, hey, just with an asterisk, this is what I'm reviewing, but keep in mind my associated equipment also has a lot to do with what I'm hearing. So
right, but many of the reviews, and typically all the reviews, have the long list of associated components as an integral part of the review.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I'm saying, how many people do, really, honestly, when people read a review, Do you really think people look at those the associated components, the little
I
corner
do.
at the bottom?
Honestly,
You
I
do.
do.
Yeah, you do, but not a lot of people. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't read it, which is something that Elliot said a long time ago. People don't read nowadays. Most people don't read. Go ahead, Elliot.
I think one of the other things that really bothers me is the Absolute Sound is a profit-making organization, correct? Okay, it's a business. They're in business to make money. So when you're in a business, every business, I don't care if you're a lawyer, a doctor, a plumber, an electrician, you have to make a capital investment into your business. Okay, if I call Jay's Plumbing Lab and Jay comes over to my house dressed in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans in a Corvette convertible and doesn't have any tools, he's really not prepared to do the job. So I don't understand that if you're going to be a reviewer, that either you or the publication that you work for makes a capital investment so that you have basic tools. I don't think you need $1 million speaker to be a reviewer, okay? You can have a world-class system that's far less money, and we were talking about this a little yesterday, and Jay and I were talking about it. You know, you don't have to have the Wilson Chronosonic to do a review. You could have a pair of Watt Puppies or an Alexia, or you could have, I don't know the magical numbers, but an S-series speaker. If you have a balanced system that's really good, maybe one guy, if one guy is, you know, if Harley is going to be the big chief and he's going to do all of that stuff, then whatever. But why are all of us, including the consumers, the distributors, the manufacturers, supporting them, okay, on top of which we're actually paying for the information that we pay to give to them, okay? I don't see if they, you know, the excuse, the Lee Scoggins answer is the fact that, well, they can't afford it. Well, you know what? If you can't afford to be a fucking plumber, then you're not a plumber, okay? If you want to fix auto body, you need to have a building and a lift and the tools. And if you can't do it, you can't do it, okay? So I find it hard to believe that the magazine and the people that own the magazine can't have a capital investment somewhere to have a system or a library of products that they can own and whatever. I have no problem with loaning for reviews, okay? And we can argue about the time frame, but anytime you get more than 9 months, as far as I'm concerned, that's a perk. That's not a loan, okay? That's a perk.
My take on this is that I completely agree with Robert. For the top reviewers, I think it's great that the top reviewers have 3 of the best loudspeakers ever made. Robert has the Michelangelos, one of the top dipole planers. Michael has the XVX, one of the top dynamic driver speakers, and Jacob has the avant-garde.
Michael bought his speakers.
Let me finish. Has one of the top horns in the world. So I have no problem.
Jacob bought his speakers also.
What?
Jacob bought his speakers. Fremer bought his speakers. The different subject.
Yes, that's how they bought them is a subject that is different from Robert's point that it's great that the top reviewers have flagship speakers. Those are 2 separate points.
Well, excuse me, but Fremer and Jacob don't have long-term loans. Right. They own their system.
Right. And they are
very different than Harley and Valen and others.
Yes. Michael and Jacob are exculpated from any involvement in this controversy, any involvement in this ethical issue. I completely agree.
They don't belong in the conversation. I'm sorry.
My point is that I'm supporting Robert's view that it's a good thing that the Absolute Sound reviewers have the top speakers in the world. That's my point here at the moment.
Can I say one more thing? There's a comment I want to address. The one about starting my own magazine, okay? Just so you know, people in the peanut gallery, when you're an audio dealer, you do this every single fucking day, okay? You have to put together the stuff, and when people walk into your store, if it doesn't sound good, you don't make any money. Nobody gives me anything for free. I don't want to be in the magazine business. I don't even think it needs it. I think that in a lot of ways, this has not been a helpful thing for the industry, and that's another subject. But the fact is, every audio dealer owns their stuff. They made an investment. They have a store. They fixed up the store. Jay just spent a couple of $100,000 building rooms, and he owns all the equipment. And if you come to my store, as little as it is, I own every fucking scrap of shit that's in there, okay? And I set it up. And if you come in and you go, well, gee, Elliot, I don't like what you have, then you walk out. I don't make any money. Nobody's giving it for me for free, okay? I believe in making money the old-fashioned way. You earn it.
You know, Ron, before we move on to the next part, I sent you a private link. Can you go into the private chat of this StreamYard? You know how we have it? Yes. I sent you a link. Okay, click on that link. And then I want you to share it with the audience.
Oh, how do I do that?
Just click the link. It opened up another browser page, right? You have another page? All right, let me do it. Let me just open up my.
You can do it, and then I can just add it.
Let me just share it. I'm going to share my screen real quick, okay, so that people see this. Let me just find the. Okay, here it is. Hold on. Okay, and then you just add it. Okay, go ahead. Let me know. Let me know if people can see it.
1 second.
While he's looking, I mean, I have all the respect in the world for Michael Fremer and Jacob Halbrun. I mean, they're audio people. They paid their money.
Yep.
Okay, they bought their ticket. They got on the train. Okay, and if they're going to be a reviewer, I've spoken to Jacob a bunch of times. For example, if he wants to try something and he wants to borrow it, he's not asking for having the thing for the next 10 years. Okay. You take it, you try it, whatever that is, 3 months, 5 months. I mean, that's normal. Okay.
Okay. So I want people to see this. Okay. I'm going to show you. Okay. This is Robert Harley's review of the Chronosonic XVX.
Right.
Once again, so that you guys see with actual facts. Okay. This is his review in 2020 of the Chronosonic XVX, the whole thing, the subsonic subwoofers and the crossover. So I read this review. Okay, where he goes on and talks about this, okay? And if you go all the way to the end, reading everything, okay? You know what I was doing? Looking for the associated equipment. Can someone tell me where that is? Is that the associated equipment? That's the end of the review. Where is the associated
not everyone,
equipment?
not every review, I guess, but I mean...
But that's a major fuck-up. That's a huge, important speaker for Wilson. Okay. Look at that. Where do you see associated components?
Fair enough.
But he does normally list it.
He does.
Where is this? Why? Okay, so
here,
if they're going to answer to this, okay, because they'll see this and they're going to say, "Oh, we only put it on the magazine, not on the actual online review." Bullshit. They are doing a disservice because people don't read your fucking magazine. They read what I'm reading right now. Where is the associated equipment here?
Hold up.
Guys, pull it up. All of you watching, pull up this review. I'm giving you an example. Pull up the fucking review. Where is the associated equipment?
I hear what you're saying. But in defense of the Absolute Sound, they typically do it in the print magazine. When Jonathan Vallon reviewed recently the Solution 717, I checked myself. The associated components is listed in the print magazine. So why it wasn't in this particular XVX review, I don't know, but they typically are. Fair enough. Okay. I also want to say, I agree with Elliot. I applaud Michael Fremer at every opportunity for the fact that he purchases his components. Same with Jacob. I completely agree with you. They are completely exculpated from having any involvement in this discussion.
You know, I went back and I looked at Fallon's thing. I have it here on my desk. Okay. I mean, there's stuff that he's had, a lot of stuff since 2018. Okay. That's 8 years. Okay. And although some of it has changed, if you've had a solution amp and preamp in your system for 8 years, and every time a new one comes out, you get the new one. I mean, come on, guys, you got to pay attention to this. This is again, if it smells like fish, I'm not calling them names. I'm not saying they're corrupt. I'm not saying anything. Okay. But the reality is the look of it. Okay. The stink of it is on them. Okay. That stink is there and it doesn't go away. Okay. If every 6 months or stuff that went, the stuff came and left. Okay. You can always refer back. I mean, look, I get new stuff in my store. Some stuff stays a long time. Some doesn't. I don't need to have a pair of Gerbil Noblesse to know that when I'm setting up a pair of Von Schweikert VR30s, that they sound good. And if I had to, I could compare them even if I don't have them side by side. Okay. Once I write the review, my opinion is right there. I don't need to go back, okay, and have it. Okay. This is when you're looking at the major reviewers sitting someplace between $3 and $10 million worth of free stuff being given out to these people. My God, how does a small company get a fair shake?
We're going to get to that topic.
Look at the comment from Christy really quick. Look what he said. He's an orthopedic surgeon. Highlight it. Christy Crawley at 8:02 p.m. on the timestamp on the comment section.
9:02 p.m.
Well, yeah. See that?
Okay,
Perfect
let's continue. Okay, let's continue. Next topic is topic 4. Let me get us back here. Okay, topic 4. Long-term loan practice identifies the truly exceptional reference products because a top reviewer will want to live with only the best reference components. We've talked about this a little bit, but Elliot, don't you agree with this?
Say it again, Ron. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Long-term loan practice identifies the truly exceptional reference products because a top reviewer will want to live with only the best reference components.
Well, that's assuming that that's true. Okay. I mean, that's kind of taking their side. I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe there's only one quality component and only one thing that you can live with. And the example is really simple. Okay. Harley has one speaker. Valen has another. Fremer has a third. Jacob Halpern has a fourth. Tom Martin has a fifth. Okay. All of them think they have the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know what would be really cool? If they actually rotated them so that they actually had an opportunity to hear them, then they could make a statement of what's actually best.
Okay.
I once asked this question: has Jonathan Valen ever been to Robert Harley's house and vice versa? And the answer I was told was no. So therefore, to me, that's like saying, let me finish. That's like saying Peter Luger is the best steakhouse in the world, but I've never been to any other. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think it's hokum.
I don't read this to say that there's only one best. I read this to say that whatever each reviewer thinks is best for him or herself as a hobbyist personally, this practice gives them the opportunity to get whatever they think is best. I don't read this to say that there's
I don't agree with you. They get what they're given, and then they whatever it is. I mean, if somebody, it's just kind of strange that it just happened. If they all thought the Wilson was best, why don't they all have the Wilson?
Jay?
I agree with Elliot's point. Piggyback over Elliot's point. If Wilson is the best, then they should all have. I mean, we know Harley and Michael they have both had the XVX, so at least they have that in common, except that Michael buys his XVX. But, the truth is it really mandatory? Is it needed to have the best of the best to review gear? Man, I disagree with that.
Jay, can I tell the story about Munich? Do you mind?
Yep. Yeah, Go ahead.
I want to tell you the story. There was a time when the XVX was Harley's reference system, and that's fine. That's it. Okay. And, people talk about influence, and to me, I'm not talking about corruption. I'm talking about influence. I'm talking about a little bit of got to be protective and stuff. So we were in Munich, and the distributor in Munich is a guy named Absolute Sounds, and it's not related to the magazine. And he has a really giant display in one of the halls, okay? Not the main hall, but one of the halls. So I go down there, and in that room is the full balls-to-the-wall cartel system. D'Agostino monoblocks, preamp, the full DCS stack, the Wilson XVXs, the subwoofers, the transparent cables, the partridge in the pear tree. They got it all there, okay? One of the worst things I've ever heard. Not that the system is bad. The setup was really bad, and it sounded really bad, okay? So I went and found Jay, because Jay had those speakers in his house at the time, and I'd also heard them at Jay's house. I said, I want a second opinion. You come with me. So I brought him down to the room, and we listened to it, and we walked out, and we laughed, okay? they had a bad setup. Not the end of the world. It happens. Okay. When I read the show report, okay, the show report said Wilson showed very well in Munich. Okay. And to me, there is no possible way that a person that owns that in their house and lived with it for years could think that that sounded anything like they sounded in their home. And so therefore, that is influence. Okay. Maybe not a lot of influence, but they could have said it sounded like shit. Okay. I own the speakers. I know they're not bad. It was a bad thing, but they don't. Okay. Or they don't go into this room or they don't go into that room. Okay. There is influence here. And whether it's above board or subliminal, that's a whole nother subject. But to pretend it doesn't exist is just fantasy.
That goes back to the early point. If there is any sort of bias, but you having the gear, yes, this is an example of that.
Okay, I have to say, listening to these systems of these shows is subjective. It was your view that that particular system setup didn't sound good. Other people did think it sounded good. You're the distributor of a
it was crap
product.
And that year, Roy Gregory ripped everything at the show. It was crap. It was somebody's opinion. It was crap. Okay. When I go into a steakhouse and they serve me an old shoe, I know it's an old shoe. Okay. I don't want to say bad things about product. I don't say bad things about product in my store. If they had a great system, and Jay knows this, they had a great system, I would have said it's a great system. I mean, I go to the show and I hear stuff. This was crap. And if you go back and read, that was the year Roy Gregory destroyed the show and said how horrible almost everything sounded. Okay, so this was the same thing that happens at Exponent, and it happens everywhere else. They're afraid to say something bad for whatever reason. You can go to a show, I don't care what brand it is, including my brand. Okay, I've been in Exponent. We've been in the club room. Okay, which is an impossible room. And if somebody said to me, it didn't sound that great, you know what I would say? You're probably right. Okay, because it doesn't sound anything like it sounds in my store or it sounds like in Oliver's room. You know, there's only so much you can do. And sometimes you have to admit it. Everybody has bad days. Okay, I ask anybody here, you could go to your favorite restaurant 100 times. Once in a while, they're not on. Once in a while, the chicken is tough. The spaghetti's overdone. Okay, it happens. It doesn't mean that the restaurant is bad. Everything can't be perfect all the time, but you got to be honest, because if you're not honest all the time, then when do we know when you're telling the truth?
Okay, topic number 5. Let me get this.
I wasn't going to get this into it tonight. I don't know why I have.
I'm trying to get the
There's a thing up here. You want to post Scott Peterson's comment?
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
I was going to say to him, if you're going to a dealer and the dealers that you're going are shitting on everybody else's brands, you're probably in the wrong store. Yep. Okay. Everybody's got, that's not the one I wanted. It was up at 902. Oh.
902.
Fortunately, as a consumer who buys equipment, 902 up on the top of the page.
Unfortunately, that one?
Yeah. I would only suggest to anybody, if you go to a store and they're constantly shitting on everybody else's product, then you're probably in the wrong store.
Okay? I agree.
I mean, people come in and ask me about stuff all the time, and I can explain to them why I like my stuff, but I don't say that things like Wilson or Magico or Rockport or any of those others are lousy, because it really takes away credibility from me. Okay, everybody's going to like what they like. And a quick story: when I was a young man, I was working in the city, and I was a young salesman, and a guy came into me and looked at me, and he said, "I'm looking to buy a pair of speakers." So I started to talk to him. I said, "What?" And he asked me about Bose. He didn't tell me he had Bose. And I shit on the Bose. And the guy looked me right in the face and he said, "You know, I own Bose and I'll never buy from you." Okay. And so these are things that you learn. Are there things that I like more than other things? Yes. But if they're dumping on the product, I don't think that's a good thing. And no dealer should do that.
Well, if you need to listen to everything, just come to Jay, man. I got everything. I'll show you everything. Whatever you want to buy,
For
I'll demo it to you.
$3,000 a weekend, you can listen to everything.
Absolutely, whatever you want. Come, I'll display it for you.
I want to find where. Okay. Excerpt number 5. I want to come up to here. Okay.
Okay.
Robert asks, quote, do reviewers really give overly favorable assessments to those companies that agree to lend the equipment for months or even a few years? Robert answers, quote, absolutely not, and here's why. The reality is that reviewers have access to long-term loans on just about any product they want. I could pick up the phone right now and have virtually any piece of high-end audio equipment delivered to my home for an indefinite period. Jay, what do you think about this point?
I can't believe he made that statement, to be honest with you. I
Why?
can't believe it that
true.
he made that statement about it's almost sounding like he's cocky or proud of that. And by the way, that's a lie. That's a lie, because I spoke to several manufacturers who called me today to tell me that they're not about to build a product for Robert Harley because he feels like having it. That takes money, resources. Okay, brands are not able to just drop everything they're doing and make a product for Harley, and it's going to cost the brand absolutely nothing. 3 brands called me today to tell me that specific part of this. Okay, that's a lie. Okay, that doesn't happen like that. It has to make sense for the brand. They have to have the resources and the money to build it. And oftentimes, if it's something that extreme, they may not necessarily want to do it unless there is some sort of benefit that really makes sense for them. Because ultimately, they build it, then what? It might sit with Harley for 6 years. What are they going to do with it? What is he going to do with it? So it's not 100% accurate, although he's going to say that. I had 3 brands tell me this. They're not about to build anything just because he calls. It's more than that. The conversation is way deeper than that.
Elliot?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. But what did he say?
Robert asks rhetorically, do reviewers really give overly favorable assessments to those companies that lend the components? And he answers, no, and here's why, because reviewers have access to long-term loans on just about any component they want.
Well, I don't agree with the second part, but I'm not calling Robert a liar. I'm not saying that. I don't know what goes on in Robert's head or Jonathan's or anyone else's, okay? I'm not their shrink. I'm not there talking to them. I really don't know. All I've said is that when you have so much that's given to you and you have no skin in the game, it's not your money. You didn't really have to make a decision, and you're keeping something for a really long period of time. I mean, we're 6 years or 4 years on a $500,000 item with costing you nothing. I'm sorry, I just can't buy that. Number one, that you're being influenced, okay? And all of us get to the point when we have something a long time, we also get used to it and like it, okay? And so by not changing it, you're excluding other things that might be better, okay? I think we all get used to, especially if we have something that's good, we get used to what we have in our room. And therefore, sometimes when we go someplace else, it's different, and I'm not sure I like it, okay? But owning something for 6 years really precludes that, okay? There is no option to do other things. I just don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
My answer on this is that it's not entirely true. Not every company can afford to hand over hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of a product. So this limits instead of it being a completely flat playing field, in my view, this limits the manufacturer pool to the ones that are ready to play the game and who can afford to play the game.
And where are those?
Pardon me?
And who are those players?
Let's stipulate that Robert's right. The reviewer can get whatever he or she wants. That's not really the question, because even if we stipulate the initial selection process as an even playing field, once the reviewer selects what he or she genuinely, authentically wants for his or her personal system, the desire for the reviewer to keep those components, that's what raises the specter of favoritism, conscious or unconscious, toward a certain manufacturer in the future.
Hey, Eddie, you're full of shit. The only one that said stuff bad about brands is you. You never heard me shit on anything, but I will shit on you because you're an asshole.
Elliot.
Well, I don't like people making statements that are untrue, okay? And this is a guy that was on Jay's video shitting on everything. He's a piece of shit, okay?
Elliot, come on, man. Be professional.
I am being professional. He's a professional piece of shit.
Topic number 6.
Fuck you, Eddie.
Hey. Topic number 6, I'm going to move up here. The key to making this system work is that the product is eventually returned to the manufacturer. I'm going to give you, Elliot, a chance to calm down. Jay, you take this one first.
The key to making this system work, their plan that they have in place, it is, it makes, okay, I'll say that eventually return the product, but we know that's easier said than done. We know that's not really happening, at least within a reasonable time frame. I don't think there is anything wrong with reviewers having, again, equipment to review and perhaps for a certain amount of time, because obviously you need time to understand the system. That makes sense. I mean, as a matter of fact, I wouldn't believe a review from a reviewer that only had it for a week, if I'm being honest with you. Okay, so I understand keeping it for a few months. I think the biggest question is the long extended period of time creates a bias. Whether they want to admit it or not, that's a different story.
Okay, Elliot?
Okay, so have you ever loaned any money to a relative or a friend and they're supposed to pay you back and they don't pay you back and you really don't know what to do about it, and you ask them and then you feel like the bad guy, okay, for asking what actually belongs to you? I believe that a lot of the manufacturers, once they have something in these people's houses and they've gotten something from them, are just afraid to ask them back because they don't want to alienate them. There's no way that anybody can tell me that you need to have a turntable for 8 years. I'm sorry. Okay, that's a gift. That's the way I look at it. It's a gift. Okay, because you've taken none of the responsibility. You got none of the depreciation, and when a time that you don't want it, you basically, well, take that out of here. I don't care. I just think it's unfair. I think it's unhealthy for the whole business, the whole industry, and I don't know of any other industry that works like this. There are plenty of people that get samples. The samples are not forever, okay? We're not giving somebody a box of Girl Scout cookies. You're giving them something that costs real money to produce. And by the way, people have to realize, if I give you a $100,000 gizmo, and I own that, that's part of my inventory. It's on my books. It's on my business. There are actual costs that are involved in that. The use for the money, the useful market life of the product, opportunity costs that I don't have it. Okay, it's real money, and everybody thinks that all of this stuff is free. It's not free. And for a consumer, just to let you know that all of this stuff only makes for higher prices. Because if you've got $300,000 worth of stuff in reviewers' houses, you know who pays for that? The consumer.
My view on this particular excerpt is I'm just not sure it's entirely true. It's not just a question of whether the reviewer who receives something on long-term loan returns it in a year or two or longer. Let's say the reviewers had it for a year and the manufacturer calls up and says, hey, we have a Mark II, a new version. Send us back the one you've got. We're going to send you the new version. I don't consider that a closed loan and a reopened new loan. I characterize that as a continuation of the original loan for bias concern purposes, because what it means in effect is, yes, the reviewer got the first component, but now the reviewer has the updated component. It becomes very, very often a continuous chain of components, a continuous chain of loans. I don't characterize that as a discrete loan that ended and a new loan that started. I characterize that as a continuing loan. For example, for how many years has Jonathan Vallon had one model of Magico speaker after another? I consider that a chain of continuity of one continuous loan. in my view. And by the way, a long-term loan that never ends or goes on for years is literally treated by the Internal Revenue Service as a gift.
I'm holding Jonathan Vallen's reference system from 2018, Solution Amp and Solution Preamp. It's 2026, Solution Amp and Solution Preamp.
Wow.
Gentlemen, what solutions do we have for whatever each of us respectively considers to be the difficulty or problem with long-term loans? Do you have a solution, Jay?
Solution, I don't have a solution because I think there's always going to be those forces behind the scenes that will go on forever, right? Especially with those brands that need to do whatever it takes to get a good review in room coverage. So it'll never go away. I just think that brands need to start working on their own social media. They need to start figuring out themselves. They need to stop relying on publications. They got to do the hustle. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example, and it's a shameless plug. Next Level HiFi. Have you seen their YouTube channel on how great it is? All the footage they do, all the stuff they do. They're hustling, man. They're cashing checks all fucking day while we're sitting here talking shit. That's the truth. They need to work, and Elliot finally heard me on this too. They need to work their own social media. Stop relying on the bullshit from other people and other publications or whatever they do. Work on yourself. But it's going to take money. It ain't going to be free. It's going to cost you money. Period. That's the solution.
Elliot.
I agree. I go back a long time in the business, and this was when I started a dealer-based business, meaning that new, used, trade-ins, displays, all of that was done at the dealer. Even the audio shows at the time were business to business. They weren't, very rarely did we have a public show. We used to have public events. And then gradually, because of the effectiveness of Harry Pearson, that a lot of the marketing, of product got turned to Harry, because Harry could actually make boxes disappear. It was really, really, really easy to make them disappear. He would write something and it would fly off the shelves. And now we're 40 years later, and the business is completely different. And so I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's a level playing field. They can say whatever they want and they can do whatever they want. But as a dealer and somebody that actually cares about what I'm doing and cares about the result that I get from my customers, I'm not really interested in going that way anymore. I've talked to Jay a lot about social media. We're doing this channel. We've done that channel. I hired a social media manager. I've started to do that. And I want to find people that I can help myself, that can come in and they can listen. And as I said all the time, as a dealer, if you come into my store and you sit and listen and you don't like it, you're not going to buy anything. Okay. And it's our job to try and direct you to something that you like, and then hopefully be able to reproduce it in your house. And that doesn't happen by buying a box at a discount based on a review that you get one from column A and one from column B. Okay, I've said this a million times too. This is a system business, and the room and the placement of the gear is all part of a singular system. And change any one thing and you change the sound. Now, maybe you change it for the better, maybe you change it for the worse. I think that the whole industry is off the rails. That's kind of what I think about it. And I think we need some sanity to come back. There's a lot of good product. It's not a product thing. It's just become too commoditized and too commercialized, and there's too much of one thing. And it seems to me that the music has gotten lost.
Elliot, someone is asking you if you think you're basically outdated, your way of thinking. Is it an outdated point of view or way of thinking?
Outdated for whom? I mean, if for a music lover, no. For a consumer that wants to buy on Amazon, probably. Okay. If they want to shop around and find the best deal on a box, I'm not your guy. I never said I was. Okay. If you're interested in producing something that sounds really terrific in your house, then there are people like me. And I'm not the only one. There are plenty of people that can do it. Okay. But there are a lot of dealers that have 70 and 80 and 90 products, and they're all over the internet. And they're all over the things. And you want to buy this box, with 6, you get cream cheese, and with 8, you get an extra bagel. I mean, if that's what you want to buy, fine. That's where the business has gone. The business has gone to moving boxes. And I think part of that is the reason that we don't bring as many new people into the hobby, is because they see this as just a bunch of boxes with a price tag.
On the last question about remedies, all I have ever asked for, my whole effort here has been to encourage a little candor and a little honesty. So yeah, I do have a couple of suggestions. One is, why not some kind of industry standard? Not everybody has to use the same term, but some standard around what is a long-term loan. Maybe there can be a practice of around 18 months, 24 months, 30 months. It's arbitrary, doesn't matter. But I would encourage some effort to kind of concentrate on some somewhat agreed range. All I know for sure is 5 years is too long. Secondly, all I've ever asked for, disclosure cures the ethical concern. I'd like to put up here my proposal for a little disclosure. This would solve it for me. Certain components in the reviewer system are long-term loans from manufacturers and remain their property. Because continued use of this equipment depends on maintaining relationships with those manufacturers, reviews by the reviewer of products from those same companies may involve a possibility of favorable bias. Why not just disclose to regular consumers who don't know all this inside baseball industry stuff? Why not just have a simple prophylactic disclosure explaining to people in a very succinct way how the high-end industry really works, that the long-term loan system exists, it benefits readers, but just say, yes, we acknowledge as a matter of human nature that there's a possibility of favorable bias. That would be my solution. Final thoughts, gentlemen.
None of that will ever happen. Okay. It's like trying to tell the national media that they have to tell the truth, that Congress shouldn't vote one way and not another. Okay. That lying is whatever. I mean, look, you're asking people to change something that's been beneficial for them for a certain period of time, both possibly financially, certainly for their ego, certainly for their status, for their, all these people that can't afford stereo equipment are really impotent people. Okay. They get treated in an impotent way. And they get, we were just talking about this, that there were 2 major reveals of product over the last couple of weeks. And I understand if you're a brand in Denmark and you're inviting all your dealers to come and look at a product, that you would invest the money to have them come. But it's a very different thing to invest the money to invite 50 people from the press and fly them to Denmark and put them up in a hotel and wine them and dine them for 3 days. That's not the same thing. The same thing just happened in Arizona at an amplifier manufacturer. And again, I've been taken to plenty of dealer things and I've been wined and dined. Why? Because I'm a customer and I'm going to buy the product. Pioneer used to take us out to the Del Coronado in San Diego, and it was a great trip. And we had concerts and food, but I never walked out of there without spending $150,000 to $200,000 in ordering product. That was part of the deal that went there. But when you're inviting all the press, okay, and you're taking them to the best steakhouse in Arizona, and you're having a private barbecue at the owner's house, I mean, come on. Are we not going to call a perk what it is? It's a perk. There's no necessity for that. This is kind of like softening everybody up for what's to come next. And I do believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And it's been a long time since a lot of this stuff has seen the sunlight. And I've caught a lot of shit from it. Jay caught shit from it. Some of the other peoples that made video have caught shit from it. Ron, you've caught shit from it. WBF has thrown shit on it. Okay. The fact of the matter is it exists. And all of you that are watching or listening, you have to decide for yourself what it means, okay? But in my opinion, if nobody tells you, then you never know, okay? It's like your wife is cheating on you. Do you want to know or you don't want to know, okay? I want to know.
All right, so, well, I just want to say that today is my final day. Last time talking about this subject matter, we have been beating this horse to death. And I think it is now up to you all, the audience watching us, to decide what they want to do with the information that has been presented to you guys. There will be no more talk about extended equipment loans, magazine ethical or unethical behavior, or any other topic that simply does not help the growth of my brand, Jay's Audio Lab. I need to get back to doing what put me on the map, the ultra high-end, $500,000 loudspeakers, $160,000 preamplifiers, $70,000 racks, and so on. My journey will continue to evolve as my business expands here in Texas, and there is nothing a soul can do within this industry that can basically stop what I'm doing. If you're a hater of Jay's Audio Lab, I have a full-time job ahead of you. It's going to be a long 2026 for you. Thank you. This is Jay's Audio Lab signing out.
Ron, can I answer one of the questions?
Sure. Which one?
Let me find the question.
Tell me the time.
Fuzzy 63 934. Okay. I'm not going to speak for them, but I'll speak for me. Okay. I consider a reviewer a critic. Okay. That's somebody that's going to be able to listen to something and tell us about the product, tell us its strengths and its weaknesses, and be a critic, like a movie critic or a food critic. If all they're going to do is regurgitate the literature, and I can write the last sentence from every review, which is certainly an amplifier you should consider when buying a $200,000 amplifier, I don't call them reviewers. Then they're reporters, okay? Somebody that goes to a show and tells you everything that's at a show and everything is wonderful is a reporter, not a reviewer. Now, I don't know whether they consider themselves journalists. I don't know how we differentiate reporter and journalist, okay? But to me, these are supposedly reviews. And I've said this before, and I'll make it really simple, okay? The major reviewer at the Absolute Sound has had probably a dozen or 15 of the world's best loudspeakers in his room in the last 5 years. I think most people would agree with that. He's had Rockport and Alcivox and Gerbil and Wilson and I think Tidal and I don't even know what else. I apologize. I don't remember all of them. I don't need him to tell me which one is the best. I don't even want him to tell me what the best is. But as a reviewer, I think it's his job, if he's a reviewer, to tell us how they differ, what they do alike, what they do different. Why is this one, maybe why it does it if he understands as much. That would be above my head. But if you were asking me, you know, what's the difference between an Alcivox and a Wilson XDX, this should be something that's really easy to do, okay? And you don't have to say which one is better. You can say that the Wilson does this better and the Alcivox does this better, okay? But they don't. Why don't they? Okay, you got to ask yourself the question too. Is this a basically circular environment to just bring more and more goods through the circle for more and more advertising and more whatever? To me, a reviewer is a critic, and I always look at it as a critic. When I was on the Absolute Sound listening panel, Harry Pearson was a critic, and it's why a lot of people didn't like him, because Harry would tell you if something was bad. But you know something, if you as a designer or a manufacturer, all you get is people blowing smoke up your ass, you're never really going to get any better. Okay, there are no, you know, it's not like a race car. You go on the track and either you win or you don't win. If you don't win, you know you're not good enough. But in audio, there's a lot of this false flag stuff that, you know, it's in the Stereophile A list, or it's in Robert Harley's system, or it's what this guy is using. And I think for a lot of people, that's an excuse for them to make a decision based on either they are not a serious educated listener, which is fine. Not everybody is. It takes time to do it. Or they just want somebody else to make the decision for them.
Okay, in fairness, I just want to say I've always applauded Michael Fremer for making comparative reviews very often in his reviews. Jacob does comparative impressions, and so does Jonathan Vallon do comparative impressions. So just subjectively, I remember many cases where those three at least have done comparative impressions, which is very valuable to us hobbyists, frankly. It's the most important thing in a review.
Yes.
Well, that's what a review is.
I can't wait until they compare a Wilson to a Magical in a review. That would be great.
Any final thoughts, gentlemen? Any final questions you want to take?
You should go on Polymarket. You could probably make a fortune with a small bet because that'll probably never happen. So I'm just looking through the questions to see if there's anything else that I want to thank everybody for coming on. Yep. Have we reached 1,000? I mean, all of you guys subscribed?
No.
We're close.
Okay. But we'll get there. So this is the last time, as I said, that you'll hear about this from me. I'm not going to continue no more. I'm done with it. I got a business to run. So if there's any more.
Okay, but Ed J, the mission profile for this show is different than your personal channel mission profile. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Or are we good for the night?
I think we're good.
I have something, but I'm not going to say it, so it's okay.
Viewers, thank you very, very much for joining us for this special episode. We're going to have a regularly scheduled episode this coming Wednesday, our usual time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining for this special episode. Bye-bye.